The power lock is a really powerful practice that you use as an alternative to ejaculating, if you choose to, that can put you into powerful states of full body orgasm. You can use it over and over and over again if you don't ejaculate. This also really helps you to transition into having sex without ejaculating. So you're always primed, ready to go, and retaining your semen, getting all the benefits of that. So first I'm gonna break down a bit of the theory of what's happening when we do the power lock, and then I'm gonna guide you through a guided practice of it. So you can skip to the guided practice section if you're coming here to review it. Otherwise, let's get into it. I'm Jonathan White. I've helped thousands of men from around the world learn to retrain their mind and body to last as long as they want in bed, experience non-ejaculatory multiple orgasms, and go into sex feeling calm and confident. Make sure you hit subscribe to stay notified when new content like this is available, and make sure you get my free ejaculation control ebook. There's a link in the video description below. Okay, so the power lock. The power lock is a very valuable method, we'll just say that, and it's a staple of sexual kung fu training. This is a method that comes from Tantra. It's a powerful way to circulate sexual energy out of the genitals. I use it essentially when things are getting really hot. Maybe I'm doing other kind of casual, relaxed sexual energy circulation practices, and maybe they aren't quite cutting it. Maybe it's been 45 minutes into the session, things are getting real hot, and I just need to pull some serious energy out of the genitals. This is where the power lock comes in. And in the beginning, I found it extremely valuable for me to pull myself away from high states of arousal, feeling like ejaculation was impending, to calm back down and continue sexual stimulation. And one of the amazing things about it is that it sort of harvests this sexual energy. It pulls out the hot, excited sexual energy you're cultivating and brings it into the body to be stored. And you can essentially use it over and over again, indefinitely, essentially. You can use it with a partner. You can also use it solo, masturbation. It's also a great way to get rid of nocturnal or morning erections. You wake up with a big old boner like I tend to do most mornings, most nights, and pull the energy right out, you store it, you're good to go, all right? And as I mentioned, this is an alternative to ejaculating. That's another way that I use it. A lot of men ask me hey, Jonathan, I'm starting to practice semen retention. I'm interested in having sex without ejaculating, but how do I finish sex? I still feel so horny and charged up at the end. Well, you use the power lock, okay? Let's look at the dynamic, what's happening in the body. All right, so during sex, sexual stimulation, there's stimulation on the penis, and all the energy is building up in your testicles. It's building up in your pelvic floor region, around the prostate. This whole area is just, it's loaded, all right? We've all felt what that feels like. What you're going to do is redirect this energy somewhere else in the body. We're gonna use a very basic power lock. There's many different methods that gets much more advanced than this, but the good starting point and the safest starting point is to bring it into the lower belly, into the lower dantian center. So what we do is, normally we would ejaculate, and that's gonna release all this pressure. But the problem with this is that if we rely on ejaculation, we're chronically dumping out our life force. It's not to say you can never ejaculate, but if you ejaculate too much, it will deplete you. That's a fact. We need other options, unless you only wanna have sex once or twice a month. Who wants that? With the power lock, we are going to create a powerful suction in the lower dantian that will pull all this tension, this friction, this excitement into it. And once you get good at that, you'll find, boom, what wasn't here is now nice and organized and stored in our lower dantian. That's it, essentially. When you would want to do this, really you can do it at any point during sex or self-stimulation. I actually recommend you practice this with self-stimulation. What you're gonna do is get yourself aroused, get yourself stimulated, do what you gotta do, and it can be at any point. I recommend you get to about 60, maybe 70% level of arousal, kind of climbing towards ejaculation without forcing it, without tensing up and trying to get there. Just allow yourself to get aroused, and then you do the power lock. And what this may look like, if we were to have a graph, you're having sex, you're stimulating, arousal's building up, it's building up. You do a power lock, you peaks and drops, boom. Okay, then you build up, maybe you get even higher. You do a power lock, boom, it drops. You get even higher and higher. Power lock, another power lock to bring it way down, and you keep climbing back up, power lock, etc. Essentially no end to it, all right? Instead of, for most men, it's just climb, ejaculate, I'm done, This just makes things a little more interesting. So I recommend getting into a sitting position. You can also do this laying down. I don't recommend doing it standing up, at least, not until you get familiar with how it will affect you. You may experience lightheadedness. You could get dizzy and faint, pass out while doing this. So be extremely careful. If at any point you feel lightheaded, this is why I recommend you sit down. If you feel lightheaded, just put your head towards the ground, put your hands on the ground, just lay down basically so you can't faint, all right? Doing it at your own risk after your doctor's approval, of course. There's 2 phases. The first, we're gonna do an intense round of breathing. Do about 9 breaths. You could do as many as 18. If you went real crazy, you could do 36, but 9 breaths is plenty. So we're just gonna do deep abdominal breathing. In and out the nostril. You can also exhale out the mouth if you choose. And after the 9 breaths, we're going to do a breath hold. We're gonna hold the breath in as long as we can, comfortably. Now you can hold the breath out as well. That will have a different effect, but for the majority of the time when I'm doing this power lock, I like to hold the breath in. It just gives me a different effect energetically. So while we're holding the breath in, you're going to bring the mind into the lower belly. And what is probably gonna help most people develop some awareness there is imagine that there was a basketball inside your belly, just like a large ball, and that it's spinning. It's spinning in place, like over the top, like so. Spinning. It's in your belly, it's just spinning. And you just hold that in your awareness as you hold the breath, as long as you comfortably can. And then when you need to exhale, exhale the breath out. Simple as that. So let's do one together. Just get a feel for it. I'll guide you through it. So I like to put my hands on my belly just to really feel my breathing. It's optional. So 9 breaths here. Really filling up and emptying. Fill up, exhale. Hold the breath out for a few seconds. And then fill up about 60% of your lung capacity. Hold the breath. Close your eyes. And just feel as if there was a ball spinning inside your lower belly. Concentrating your awareness there. And when you need to, exhale. And just noticing how you feel. Just scanning your body. Okay, so again, I recommend inhaling about 60% of your lung capacity. Of course, you can do more than that, but the more you fill up your lungs, the more likely you may be to get really dizzy and things like that. So you can work your way up. But in general, 60% is a good amount for me. And then I do just a quick breath subjugation, holding the breath out for just a little bit before I breathe in to do the power lock, all right? Let's do another one just to try it out. So 9 breaths, deep breathing. Here we go. Now fully exhale. Hold the breath out for a few seconds and fill up 60%. Hold the breath. Spinning in the belly, using the mind to create that. Exhale when you need to. Okay, now that's plenty. That's plenty, and I'll talk more about how to implement this. But something else you can incorporate, we'll do this on the next round, is, traditionally in Tantric yoga, they often use these bandhas, these locks, which I think are unnecessary. One being the pelvic floor contraction. You can definitely play with that, but I prefer to avoid any of that in my sexual practice. I get a better effect from relaxing the pelvic floor. What I do is simply, so as you inhale, you fill up, the belly's gonna be full, and I'll kind of think of pressing the belly out and down. If you've seen my reverse Kegel breathing video, it's basically that same engagement. So the belly's kind of pushing out and slightly downward. And you can even engage the glutes a little bit instead of doing the perineum clenching, which I think is unnecessary. So as you hold the breath, you inflate the belly out and think of pressing it gently down towards the pelvic floor while holding a gentle glute engagement. All right, we'll do this one more time, incorporating those engagements. All right, 9 breaths. Exhale. Hold for a few. Inhale 60%. Hold the breath, pressing the belly down, gently engaging the glutes, creating a spinning in the lower belly. Exhale. And we'll do one more with all those engagements. If you want, you don't have to do the engagements, but they can be a bit helpful in depressurizing the pelvic floor and kind of pumping sexual energy out of the genitals. Okay, and one subtle addition you can make to the awareness here is as you're creating that spinning in the belly with your mind, you can just have this awareness that it's like sucking energy out of your genitals, like a vacuum. It's just sucking energy out of the genitals as you do that, all right? Last one, 9 breaths, let's do it. Here we go. Inhale in, exhale. Hold the breath out for a few seconds. Inhale to 60%. Hold the breath, pressing the belly down, engaging the glutes, creating a spinning with your mind like there's a ball spinning in the lower abdomen, as if that was sucking the energy out of your genitals. Excellent, when you need to. And just brush down the body, just helping release any heat. So it's a very stimulating practice. It's a bit on the yang side. So just shake out a little bit. Okay, that is the power lock. Now, you may be thinking, how the hell am I gonna do this during sex? Well, the first thing, while you're first learning this, while you're first training it, what I recommend is that you use self-stimulation. Solo practice, just get to know it. Basically, you're stimulating yourself. You're incorporating principles I've talked about in other videos, keeping the pelvic floor relaxed, you're breathing fully. And then as your arousal increases, maybe about 60%, climbing up towards ejaculation, stop, sit down just like you're doing right now, and do this exactly the way we are. You can even have the video up, ready to hit play, I don't care, to guide you through it. When you do this in a state of full arousal, I'll see what happens. I'll just say see what happens. But for me, what I always experience is a release of pressure from the genitals. I pretty much always experience that. But what I often, not every time, but often also experience is a wave of orgasmic pleasure. It's different. It's different than ejaculating, but this straight up gives me like an orgasmic type of experience, especially when I really nail it. To make it more intense, amp up your breathing. The more you really intensify the breathing, again, you can do 18 rounds of breathing before you do a breath hold. Typically, the more intense of an effect it's gonna have when you do the breath hold. It's just gonna blast you off sometimes. Maybe you do a couple. So you stimulate, you sit down, do a power lock, maybe do 2 power locks. Notice like, wow. Eventually you wanna see like, can I make my erection completely go away? Completely release that arousal from doing power locks, doing several in a row, I don't care. I do it all the time. Just see what happens for you. And then what you can then do is continue stimulating, build your arousal back up, maybe a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, whatever it is, you stop and do a few more power locks. Get comfortable with building arousal, pulling it out with the power locks, building arousal, and so on. Or you can simply use these at the end of sexual stimulation, do several in a row, just to pull out any residual tension in the genitals, build up, store it in your belly, your dantian. Now, during sex, it's gonna be a little bit different. You could use a position where, maybe your partner was sitting on you, like you're overall upright, and do it exactly like this. You can tell your partner what you're doing, or just, go for it and maybe weird them out. You can make it a bit discreet. I talk more about making this really discreet and really smoothly streamlining into sex more in my, multi-orgasmic man program. But you can practice doing it in different positions. And what you would do during sex is, if you feel like things are going towards getting out of control, not once it's already like you're right about to ejaculate, yeah, you can still do this and it will help draw back down, but you want to implement it more like when it's starting to get towards getting out of control rather than it's fully out of control. And that's when you do a power lock, let it settle a little bit, and then continue on, all right? And again, this is just the basic level power lock, starting with the lower dantian, really safe, really grounding. It's good to start with the lower body before you start trying to jam everything up into your head. In the multi-orgasmic man program, I go much more in depth into this practice, different versions of it, a more yin version of it, and how to use it to activate and energize your glands, your organs, all kinds of different things we play with in that. But this is a really good, solid foundation for it, all right? It's gonna feel a little awkward at first, but once you practice it, it's gonna feel just as comfortable and familiar as anything else. All right, what I recommend that you do now is watch a video I made on advanced ejaculation control. This is gonna teach you how you can manage your arousal even during intense, vigorous sex. And you can implement the power lock into what you'll learn in that video as well. So check that video out. And let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more techniques for circulating sexual energy out of your genitals into the rest of the body. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control ebook through the video description below. And best wishes on your sexual journey, my friend. Take care.